Welcome to Feed Your Lion. I'm Dr. L.I.O.N, and I'm here to aid you in the mastery of total health, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, and financial. So prepare to have your wellness tank filled up with this podcast. Welcome to another episode of Feed Your Lion podcast. Today's special guest, Mr. David O'Brien, and he is going to bring us the stories today, I have a feeling. What did you tell me before we got started? You said you were having your podcast broadcasted for your favorite bar. Is that what you said?
Yeah, Bezos Sports Pub in Grayson.
In Grayson.
March 1st.
Okay. So they're going to have a premiere for you.
Right on the main screen.
This is his introduction to his Hollywood status right here, this podcast. All right, Dave. So tell me, okay, first off, we're going to talk about pellets a lot today, but I want to still give everybody like your background, what you do, because you have a really cool job too. So like talk a little bit about your background, where you hail from, you know, all that before we jump into pellets.
I've been on the river for about 24 years. I've been captain now for about 10. Just run up and down the river.
So like with that, are you like, is it just to take supplies to different places or what?
We push petroleum.
Okay.
You know, diesel, gas, jet fuel, benzene.
Okay.
A bomb.
So you're dealing with some like heavy duty stuff too. So there's probably a ton of safety things with that too, especially like hitting things, or you don't want any benzene.
Let's not talk about hitting anything.
No benzene leaks in the river.
No.
Okay. All right. So 10 years you've been doing the captain thing. Mm-hmm. That's really cool though. I don't think people that aren't by water, they don't know anything about that. So like
there's a lot of rules, regulations, Coast Guard. I mean, if anybody could do it, anybody would do it. But, I mean, there's a lot of schooling, a lot of class time, simulator. I just, last 2 months ago, I went to Houston for simulator training for a week. You know, it's educational too, but anybody can get into it. You just got to work your way up to it.
So when you started out, did you have any experience?
None. I was cutting grass for Lights Enterprises.
Really? Wow. So that's how many years to get to the captain?
Well, I mean, it's been
15,
16 years.
Okay. That's a long time, though, to work. Was it through Marathon, though?
I actually started out at Ashland Oil, and Marathon was buying into Ashland Oil.
Okay.
So I was there when Marathon first merged with Ashland Oil.
Okay. I didn't even know that was like a merger that happened.
Yep.
Yeah, so anybody who's like not from around this area, we have the big like Marathon plant 10 minutes down the road here. So they're a big employer in this area too. I mean, there's a lot of people.
A lot of contributions come from Marathon.
Yeah. So you are having to be gone though. How many months out of like the year?
I'm gone 9 months out of the year.
Wow, I thought it was like half and half. So you're going 9.
Yeah. I work 28-14.
28 days.
A lot of people work 28-28 or 30-30, but I work 28-14.
So you're home 14 after being gone.
Well,
20.
I mean, by the time you travel, it's about 12 days.
And Teresa's over there, his wife. She didn't want to be on the podcast with us, but like that, I feel like that'd be tough. But you guys, like out of anybody, you've been married how long?
23 years.
23 years, and you've been doing that the whole time.
Yeah, we met. This is how we met. I mean, when we first met, I told her, I said, I was about midway through my trip, and I told her, I said, look, I'm leaving in about 14 days, so, you know, it's either going to work or it ain't. And it took us 2 or 3, 4 trips, I mean, because ain't no woman that, I mean, we was young, early 20s. I mean, there's no woman that wants to be alone, and, you know, their boyfriend come home, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I honestly, like, even the first time I talked to Teresa about this, because I was like, man, that would be really tough to only, like, to be away from somebody that long, you know, and she's like, yeah, I just do my thing. Like, she didn't have I mean, that's really cool, though, that you guys have managed to do that, because I feel like a lot of people, it's almost like long distance all the time, you know what I mean, for a good chunk of your relationship, so I think that's really cool.
Well, we got 12 days to make up.
Oh my gosh. This guy, I'm telling you, he is the funniest whenever he comes in. When he comes in to get his pellets in the office, every time we know we're going to hear a story from you. And we know we're going to be cracking up every time you come in the office. There's not one time that you have not brightened our days 'cause of your stories, and I love it. But okay, so real quick before we switch over to the gears, any like crazy stories? You've been on the water that long. There's got to be a story or two you can tell. And you're there. Is it mostly men, or do you have men and
Oh
women?
no, it's all men. Well, I mean, we have women in the industry too, but the company I work for, we're mostly men because where they're based out of Vicksburg, Mississippi, it's not like a big city up here like Marathon. They have a bunch of women on the boats, and I'm happy for them. I mean, you come out and you pay your dues. I mean, if you can tote the note, you should. That's
Yeah.
it's
So
a job.
so you're like, but when you're on the boat, so you're do you fly down to Mississippi or drive down, or
No,
what?
I drive wherever the boat is.
You drive to the
down,
boat.
get on, get my partner off, and then he'll come back in 2 weeks, get our other partner off. There's 3 wheelmen on the boat. There's a captain, relief captain, and a pilot. And like when I go back this time, I'll get my relief off. Then he'll come back and he'll get the pilot. And then when the pilot comes back, it's time for me to come home.
So, like, do you guys all have to, like, how are they even living quarters? Because the boat things I know are cruise experiences. Are they just, like, the tiny little rooms?
No, I mean, the boats we're on for Golding are probably, I mean, I'm not, I guess, call me whatever, but we probably have one of the nicest boats on the river.
Really?
I mean, they build the boats around the crew. I mean, Golding Barge Line is they're very crew organized.
Okay.
And I mean, I have my own room. My partner has his own room. We do share a bathroom, but they clean it every day.
Okay. So it's not bad.
I mean, the boats
then.
are cleaner. I guarantee you, our boat is probably cleaner than 95% of the homes around here.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
We keep a clean boat.
Okay. All right. So during the day, like as far as like, duties, because you're like transporting this, is it mainly just like navigation, like heavy, or like what do you do during a typical day? Like while you're.
Well, I mean, we drive, deck crew, they clean, paint, whatever we have going on.
Okay.
I mean, we don't just sit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one reason we have some of the nicest boats on the water.
Yeah. Do you have a dedicated like cook?
No.
So you guys have
We all throw in on the cooking. I mean, we've got people, we've got deckhands from, Vicksburg, New Orleans, Louisiana. I mean, it just brings, we might have a big thing of jambalaya one day, and then the next day I'll throw in the sausage, kraut, taters, and cornbread. So, I mean, we
Okay.
have a mix of
Okay.
about everything.
Do you guys have to like decide that before? Like, I mean, do they have to?
We talk about it the day before.
Okay.
So we'll get it out and lay it out and let it unthaw.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's really interesting. But okay, boat story. Any boat stories of something? Look at him. I know you have stories, but.
I mean, there's been, well, Teresa, she's come up and stayed with me a couple times when, we've been fleet watching or something, but she come up one night, spent the night. We was just up here in Catlettsburg for a company I worked with before. And she come up, and we was cleaning, fleet watching, high water, and we woke up next morning, and I noticed my head was up against the wall a little bit too hard, and I was like, something's wrong. So I got up and went down and looked in the engine room. Sure enough, we had a couple of sump pumps go out. Well, the boat was taking on water. So I had to run upstairs, and I told her, I said, get your and get off. And she was like, what is going on? And I said, don't ask questions. Just, I got to get you off a boat. So I got her up there and got her we was on a bunch of coal empties, and I got her up to the sails, and it wasn't, I don't know, 2-3 foot wide, and she's going to have the jump. Well, I didn't think I was ever going to get her to jump. I thought I was going to have to throw her. So I finally, get her off the boat, and she's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to have to go back here and start pumping water. So that was one of the scarier moments.
Now, when you say fleet watch, what does that mean?
You just sit in the fleet, in case the fleet breaks out or something. You're on the boat to start putting them back in place.
Oh,
Basically.
okay, all right. I was like, I didn't know what that was. Okay.
Now summertime, see a lot of boobs.
Like as you're driving down the
Yeah, for a simple blow of the horn, they'll show us a pair of boobs.
Do you carry Mardi Gras style beads with you on your?
No, I blow the horn a lot though.
Oh my gosh.
So,
oh shoot!
I usually blister the end of my finger after I come out of a big boat parade.
Oh my gosh. That's a good segue to shift to pellets, isn't it?
On boobs.
Boobs on the water.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay, so tell me. You've been getting.
If you see a set of boobs a day, it keeps the headache away.
Is that like the orgasm a day keeps the doctor away?
Could be.
It's better than an apple, actually, per studies.
That could be.
It is true. Do you know how many? There's so many benefits. I once wrote for a paper an article about like the benefits of orgasms and for men or women, and it's like there's a lot. I mean, you have immunity boosters. So it like helps like prevent flus, colds, certain types of like cancers. It helps cardiovascular health. Mood, depression, all of these things. Pain reliever. It's crazy. And anyways, the paper almost. They did not want to publish that article at first, but I was like, listen, this is like legit scientifically like proven in multiple studies, and they did, and yeah, I got some interesting feedback on that one. But anyways, but you've been coming for pellets for how long now?
That's 5 years? About 5 years.
Yeah, did Teresa? Were you first?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I had got them about a year or so before.
Okay.
I told him he needed them.
See, and that's common too, because a lot of times one significant other, and it's usually the woman, if it's a man or woman, it's usually the woman that'll come first and then they bring the guy along sometimes. That's not always the case, but that I've seen that quite a bit. But so then you came after that, and tell me how, like, your experience with the whole getting the pellets.
Well, at first it started out, I'm just sluggish, I'm just tired, typical man stuff, I'm all right. Well, she started on them, and, she's a beautician, so, whatever all these women say is right. So she starts, she comes over and she does 2 or 3 rounds with you, and she's all over me. Oh, well, at least get your blood work done. So I finally come over, and we did.
Yeah.
And I mean, like my if I remember right, like my vitamin D was real low. Mm-hmm. My testosterone was like scraping a barrel. So we started on the pellets, and it's took off from there.
So, and I'll tell you, like, so a lot of men, it's surprised, okay, because there's always that misconception. I talk about that all the time, but like that women don't need testosterone and men don't have any estrogen. Well, neither of those things are true, right? But with women, a lot of times I'll find women don't have like any on board. It'll be like less than 6, less than 7, whatever the scale is, and with women with the hormones, we're putting them 150 to 250. Well, I have a lot of men who are coming in and they're in the 200s, which is what I'm putting women up to, right? And with men, I'm taking them clear up to 900 to 1100. So if you're somewhere around the 200s when you start to get,
I think I was in the ones.
Were you? That's real low.
Yeah, I mean, it was like,
yeah,
I've got 113 or 123 in my head.
Well, that's super low.
I mean, because you told me when it come in, you was like, it's no wonder
you're feeling
struggling.
Bad. Yeah, that's low. But that's like a common thing too, and everybody when they get older they start, or like men like after 40, 50 they're really starting to drop, and women when they're in that perimenopausal range. So I mean it's a big thing. But okay, so I'll go back to you. I don't want to take away.
The big thing about the pellets, I mean, you can't come in and be like some people and think you're going to do one round and you're going to be just, healed.
Yeah.
You've got to get your numbers up.
Yeah.
You've got to give it time.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people think they take one antibiotic and they're fine.
Yeah.
You got to get it in your system.
Yeah.
I mean, I've run into a lot of people. I've referred them. They've come in. They do one round. They're like, it don't do nothing for me. I'm like, guys, give it a chance.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a healing drug.
Yeah.
Get it in your system.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to say it's not a healing drug, but if it's on your mind and your levels are up to where, mine's back up to into the normal range.
Mm-hmm.
Your energy is up there. A big thing about the pellets, is like the glucosamine that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my joints feel so much better.
Mm-hmm.
The energy's up there. I mean, your sex life. I mean, it. I mean, it's like, you went from. You get older in age, and it almost like it becomes, almost like a habit. You're like, well, yeah, we'll have sex tonight, or it might go a week or two, but when you get your numbers up, I mean, it's there.
You know what though? I have to tell you, you both, like, the fact that you're like so like active like that. Do you know how many couples and like people I talk to, and it's a huge issue for like marriage. Like, it's huge. There's so many people I've seen that they haven't had sex with their partner in years.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like
We're like 18.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll go down the road and we'll just pull over on the side of the road. We don't care.
But you guys were still pretty, like, before pellets. Like, have you noticed a significant difference though? Like, since
Well, I mean, with 20 some years of marriage, everybody's going to run into kind of like a plateau.
Yeah.
It's like lifting weights. I mean, you
Yeah.
hit a flat line.
Yeah.
You've got to do something to change
Yeah.
to gain that increase.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these pellets is your change. I mean, especially when you're our age. I mean, we have no kids at home anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
we're back to our 21, 22.
Yeah. Do you think that it helps that you're gone a lot? And then
That sure as hell don't hurt.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, you know what I mean? Because some people, I think
Some people can be together too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually my first 3, 4, 5 days home, I mean, we usually leave a clothes string through the house the first few nights. And I mean, it might start in the car, it might start in the garage, it might start in the kitchen.
You're
Hell,
hilarious.
it might start at Bezos.
You know what, though? Like, seriously, though, so many people do not have that in their marriage. Like, in general. Just the fun
Come in and
aspect.
get checked. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying it's a big wonder drug, but if your numbers are low and they're not hitting, you're not hitting.
Well, and you said joint pain too. That's like one of those things. Even when I started out, I didn't really think that would play such a role. And I can't tell you how many people are like, "Man, I don't hurt anymore."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Wow, and that wasn't something even from like a physician side when I started doing these. I've been doing the pellets 7 years maybe now, but like I heard that so much, and that was like one of those things.
My knees, ankles, shoulders.
Your body makes your body feel younger.
Yeah. Like you have that like back again, or that like extra thing. I expected though, like the energy part and the sex drive and even the mood stuff, but not like some of the other benefits people have had. Is kind of interesting.
And if the women are on them, are already on the pellet, and then the men gets on them,
Yep.
it can turn chaotic sometimes.
Yeah. That's like honestly though the biggest thing, because I'll have the guy come in and be like, well, I can't keep up now. It used to be the opposite, but now, my wife,
Hell, how many times
girlfriend,
have I
whatever.
told you to take a pellet or two away from her?
You have. You
There's times.
You said I can't take this. And I say that means I'm doing my job.
Yeah, beyond.
Yeah.
Lord God, when you go from whatever, once, twice, 3 times a week to once, twice a day, and I mean, and
Yeah.
the stamina, you know, it's just like you can't get enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like that can be a good and bad thing. Actually, I have to ask like one of my questions I have to ask on when I'm doing a second round is, did your sex drive go up too much? Because some people are like that can be a issue, but I've never had really anybody tell me that.
If it's too much, they ain't living right.
That's yeah. I haven't heard that too much, but anyways.
Yeah,
So
if I got to sit and tell you mine's too much, then I ain't living right. I'm doing something wrong.
Teresa, I don't know how this guy is I love it. It's too much. I love it. So what else do you want to talk about on your debut? This is your Hollywood debut.
I don't know.
You can tell me any story you want. Look at him. He's checking with Teresa right now.
I tell you, if a man after this, if men do come in, look at putting your pellets in your flank.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can talk about that. So, okay, I'll tell you that's a good point. So, with men and women and their pellets, so like I said, men are getting a lot more testosterone than women.
And they're way bigger pellets.
And they're bigger pellets. They're about twice the size as I give women like 1 or 2. Men are getting usually around 10 as the average,
Yep.
maybe more. And they are bigger. So that obviously takes up a lot of space. And the way we do the actual procedure for a man is, we kind of do a little like Y type of procedure, and the little trocar we use, we treat it like a clock. So we drop a pellet at like noon, 3, 6, and 9 kind of thing. So it doesn't cause too much issues, because sometimes they can still feel it, especially if it's a thinner guy. You can still feel your pellets and that kind of thing. But over time, since you're getting so many, you can get a little more scar tissue build up. And with you had, especially on that one side, because you played a lot of baseball or whatever you said, so that sliding side that you had, you already had, even the first time we tried to do, first or second, you had a lot of like thick tissue back there to try to even put them in to start with. But over time, you can get a little bit of the scar tissue. So there's a couple ways that we can get around that. We can approach where we're going, up at an angle this way. We can go the opposite way, so we're not going through scar tissue. Or we can do the flank. Some people even the abdomen, which I haven't even had to mess with that. But you've loved the flank.
I won't. That's all I want.
Yeah, you said
you don't have to worry about. It's tender for a couple of days. I mean, I'm not. It's tender.
Yeah.
But when you do it in the butt cheek, especially if you're up and down a lot, you sit a lot. If you're real active,
yeah,
you're going to struggle with that because of the soreness. But in the flank, I've not had any issues with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah, and that has been a big. I've done a few guys now with the flank, and they all have seemed to prefer that a little better. Now, I'd say if somebody's got like a little more tissue in the butt, they don't have as much, or they're not like scarred. That's not a big deal, because some people might be skinnier in the flank, and that might be more.
True.
So
True.
like, I think it kind of depends too on the body type, but yeah, the ones I've done that in, they have seemed to like that. And I do think it is mainly like when you're sitting or getting, like you said, a lot of people, because I tell the guys, you got to take it easy for a week. You can't do like lunges, squats.
Yep.
And a lot of people's jobs, like especially if they're doing like stuff where they're up and down a lot, that can be kind of a difficult thing. I have a lot of guys that are like even painting, climbing ladders, construction, whatever. Those are like harder jobs. It's hard to take a week to. And the flank seems to be a little more, you're not straining as much with that. But
And don't get on YouTube and watch videos.
it looks bad, doesn't it?
Jesus Christ.
The numbing.
Yeah, and the numbing, I mean, it's like a sweat beast thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing to it.
You're not wussy about it at all, though. Like
No.
I will, like, and numbing hurts. Lidocaine burns, a little bit. Like, yeah, people like when they watch that video, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Because you do stick a trocar in and stuff, but like you're numb, so you don't know that. But I mean, people when they watch the video, they're pretty freaked out when they come in. I'm like, I promise you, it's not that bad. And women don't have any. I mean, it's like, they're usually, and Teresa, you can say that it's like a day or two. It's not too bad, but.
And I'll say, I have other friends that do this, and they go other places, and I mean, and that's good. But I like coming here because you're comfortable. You've made me feel comfortable from day one. We want to chit chat, we can chit chat. We can, if I want to cut up on a story, I can cut up on a story.
I love your stories. I look forward to your stories.
So,
hey, can I? You telling your story about surgery the other day when you came in.
What?
You're not allowed to tell that one, I'm sure.
Huh?
You weren't allowed to tell that one.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, Thursday before last, I had hernia surgery, and I didn't remember. At first when I come to, she was telling me about it. She's like, I wished I had my phone out. And because when I remember coming to, I was telling them I needed a cigarette and a cup of coffee.
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess when I come to, I come up out of bed in my gown. And she said, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? I guess I grabbed the corner of the bed and I just started hunching it. I just said, I just need to make sure I can still do this.
You were worried, weren't you?
Yeah.
Didn't know what they were doing with that.
Well, which I asked the boy there at morning, I said, how long can I go, without having sex? And he was like, well, you need to wait a few days. And I was like, well, I mean, she ain't got to write it, does she? And he was like, what do you mean? I said, well, she won't get me on my belly. I said, hell, I said, Bub, you know what it's like telling me I can't go 2 or 3 days? I said, come on now.
Not when you're home, right?
He told me to be gentle. I said, what, on me or her?
This is the stories I get from Dave every time he comes in.
And it's the truth. She's sitting right here. She'll tell you.
I love it. No, like I said, I think it's great because so many people don't have that in their marriage, and I think that's a fun part of marriage. That's part of a healthy relationship.
It is, and that's why a lot of marriages end in divorce these days, because they don't have excitement.
Yeah.
They don't have, honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, if she puts something on, I'll tell her, it ain't so hot, And she's like, what do you want? I'm like, cleavage. I mean, I'm not dead yet.
All right. So how long do you think you're going to be like doing are you going to retire at some point, or you think you'll do the...
No, I'll probably die on the water.
You think so?
Yeah, I can't be home that long.
You just have... Well, even when you're home, though, you guys travel all the time.
We do. I mean, spring, summer, fall, I mean, we're at the campground.
I was going to say.
I'm home for a day, 2 maybe, and then we're straight to the campground. We got some friends that, camp with us. Her mom and dad, a bunch of people from church that, they all camp with us. I mean, we stay busy.
Yeah.
It's not like I come home and we just sit.
Yeah. Where do you get, because even before pellets and stuff, you did all that. Like, where do you get all that energy from? Have you always been like that?
Really, before the pellets, I mean, it was like I would be okay. It's like I would have a burst for an hour or two.
Yeah.
And then I'd just get tired and groggy, and I'd have to sit for a while, and then, it just kept back and forth. And that's why she just kept on and on and on. And so that's why, I finally come in, but now, I mean, I feel good.
When she was doing the pellets for a year before you, did you notice like significant things with?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not even just like sex, but like in general, like, did you notice a change?
Yeah, she was real big on the, well, not real big, but hell, I don't know the word I'm looking for. Menopausal or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
I'm trying to say. Hell, I don't know nothing about that shit. you know, but, I mean, the ups and downs, I mean, this has chilled her out a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times she still might have a hot flash or something here and there, but it's usually right before we get down to business, she'll start hot flashing. So, and then afterwards, I mean, it's just sweat.
It's just, you broke it after that.
But no, I
Oh
mean,
my
that's just,
gosh.
I mean, that's the big thing about the pellets. I mean, you have to give it a chance. Don't come in here and just think you're going to take one round and you're going to be Jesus. I mean, because it ain't going to happen. I mean, get your levels up where they need to be,
Yeah.
then you might be Jesus. Because
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. Oh, Jesus.
You can't with you.
So
I can't. I can't be serious and talk to you.
I'm being
Dave.
serious, though. But I mean, like I said, the energy, my knees, shoulders, elbows. I mean, I decked for 13 years. I mean, it's not an easy job out there, but
You built decks too?
no, decked on the river. I
See,
mean, I spent a lot of time on the deck.
You're using river terms on me. See, I'm like, what? You built decks too? I didn't know.
No. I worked on deck on the river for a long time.
These are
And you're slinging lines, rigging, wires.
So okay, I'm backtracking, but I'm kind of curious about your progression. So is being on the deck the first kind of position?
Yep.
So that's where you kind of
Start out on deck.
start out on the deck, and
Yep.
you're messing with the lines and all that stuff.
Yep.
And then what do you do after that?
You go from, like back in the day, it was like a deckhand 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Then you could either, like with marathon, you go to a striker, which was in the engine room, helping the engineer. Then, relief mate, steersman. You steer for 18 months. Then you become, then the pilot.
That is a lot.
It don't happen in a year. I mean, it takes time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good living. I mean, it's provided a good living for us, benefits, retirement. That you miss a lot. You miss birthdays, deaths, tragedies. I mean, you miss a lot.
Do they do they just pay you a salary for that whole time, or how are you paid, or do you only pay
Well,
when you're on the boat and stuff?
No, they'll split your check up. Like when I get on, I have a 7 day check, 14, then a 9 day. Then I get back, by then I'm back on, then I have another 7 day check. But most people is 7 day checks, especially ones that are 28, 30, 30, well, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's not a bad living. It sucks, but if you want to make money, I mean, you got to.
So when before you said the first mate, whatever, is that what are you doing? What are your job descriptions for that?
They're
kind of
right
thing?
under the captain. They're like like your first mate. You
Okay.
hear the first mate on
Okay.
the boat.
Okay.
That's the captain's right-hand man.
Okay.
So he's just kind of following orders from the captain and pushing the deck crew.
Okay. Okay. That's really interesting because I honestly had no clue how that
Yeah.
worked. And like I said, that's a kind of a popular way to go, I think, in this area
Yeah.
because we have marathon and
Right.
stuff like that. I mean,
And marathon's growing. I mean, they're looking for deck crew now.
yeah.
I mean, they can't. This day and age, nobody wants to work. I mean, nobody. Most this generation today.
You're so
You
right on
can't-
that.
Nobody wants to work, or if they do work, they work a week and they quit.
It's really hard nowadays. Some of the stuff, I mean, even just experience in running a business and stuff, it's amazing because I'm I never would have done half the stuff that you see. It's just kind of,
It's. I mean, it's pitiful.
yeah.
I mean, you need if you're going to work the river. I mean, you need some kind of direction.
Yeah.
Hell, I've had boys come out, don't even know how to sweep, mop, do their laundry, cook. I mean, nothing. So, it's like we turn into a babysitting organization. And I mean, it's just like, hell, one time, this wasn't probably a year ago, I had a boy come out, get on the boat, and handed his phone to me. And his mom was on the other end. And his mom telling me that he needed to stay on the front watch because she didn't want him to mess his sleep schedule up.
What?
Yeah. I wished I could make that shit
he
up.
He was how old?
20.
I want to know your response to that. I want to know exactly where.
I told her he was fired. And we was down there at West Burnside down in New Orleans, and I just had him come get him. And his mama come and got him.
I bet she did.
She did.
That is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking, Joe Dale walked up to introduce himself and handed me his phone with his mom on the other end.
Oh, And they don't feel any shame about that either.
None.
That's like a normal thing.
None whatsoever. They think it's okay.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, and how old are you again, Dave?
I'll be 50 this year.
Yeah, I'm 40 years. I'm 40, but like that's like not even in my like. And I'm sure when you grew up, it wasn't anything like that.
No, you had to fend for yourself.
Are you from this area originally?
I'm from all over.
Like,
I'm originally from Carter County.
Okay.
I started out in Carter County.
Okay.
In Greenup County. Then I went on up to Cabell County. Graduated from Barbersville High School.
Okay.
And now I've run into this girl one time at this party in band camp, and she pulled her flute out, and I had to play it. And we've been together since.
How you met at a party, Teresa? You met him at a party?
Well, it was a get together. I was really good friends with, and he was really good, a married couple.
What was it? What can you hear her, Zach, with her talking? Can you hear her?
A little bit.
Teresa, give her a mic, Zach. I want to hear her first impressions of old Dave here.
It's about to get interesting.
I want to hear her first impressions because that's too funny.
You just hold it there in front of you. Yeah, that's it. You can
You're
talk
good.
just like that. It'll pick it up.
Yeah, what was your first impression when you saw Dave?
Well, I was really good friends with this girl, and she was married to David's first cousin, and she kept telling me, I want you to meet this guy. He works on the river, and he's only home ever so often. And I was like, okay. Me and him both had actually just been through a divorce. So when I walked in and I met him for the first time, I asked him, I said, so what do you think about single life and going through a divorce and everything? Well, at that time, he looked at me and said, I hate women. I don't want nothing to do with nobody. I ain't never getting married again. I'm done. And I just turned around and walked back downstairs, and I said, I don't think he's interested in anybody right now.
How long after that did it take?
We kind of course, he worked on the river, and at this time, I didn't even have a cell phone. He did have a cell phone. It was when they first started coming out. So
I had the counselor through a couple boyfriends.
There was no texting or nothing. We had to talk on the phone. So we talked on the phone for months.
And every time right before I'd get in, she'd hook up with some Jake Leg kid or something, and I was like, Am I ever going to get a chance here?
She was well. You kind of that first meeting.
You scared me off.
Yeah.
He don't.
Well, I mean, our first date, I had to beg her to let me take her to the doctor at UK. And she finally, she was having thyroid problems.
Oh.
And I told her, we was over at my cousin's house, another get together, and she's trying to find somebody to drive her to Lexington. I said, hell, I'll take you. Well, so-and-so, I'm going to ask so-and-so. And I'm like, well, hell, I ain't doing nothing. I'll take you, I mean, I've got this many days off. Mm-hmm. And then finally I told her, she was like, well, I'm going to see if my best, I said, the hell with you. I said, God ain't taking you nowhere. I said, forget this. I'm done. So she finally let me take her and introduced me to Joe's Crab Shack. And but when we first actually started talking again, because like I said, I had to counsel her through a couple boyfriends. She wasn't thinking straight. But it was like one of the first times I'd met her. I'd come out the side of the garage from my cousin's house, and I didn't know she'd been sick. She had her little sinus infection going on. She coughed up a big hawker. Hey, listen, when she spit this thing, it went, I swear to God, 75 feet.
In my defense, I did not know anybody was outside.
And when it hit the blacktop, it slid. And I popped around the corner. She's standing there looking at me, and I said, I think I love you.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, we started hanging out. I mean, we just,
That's great.
I don't know. I mean, we just kept hanging out, and damn, 23 years later, we're still hanging out.
That's awesome. I love it. I love that story. That's so great. I love it. That reminds me of the first time Jocelyn said "I love you" was after we had been out at the country. I can't believe I'm telling this story on podcast because it's gonna be on the internet now. But I was out. We had been 4-wheeling all day at my friend Cindy and John's out in Vinton County. They have like a couple hundred acres. And we were riding 4-wheelers all day, and and I was like having really bad allergies too. Like it was like, I mean, just a hot mess because we had been out in the fields. It was like spring. And we had this big bonfire, and we were making hot dogs and s'mores and all that stuff. And I bent over and I farted in front of Jocelyn. It was the first time I'd ever done that, okay? I was so embarrassed. And my friend Cindy loves when people fart, and she was dying laughing. She thought it was the funniest thing. I was like, stop laughing. I've never farted in front of Jocelyn before. Blah, blah, blah. And everybody was like laughing. And anyways, we went home that night, and literally I was like pouring, like my eyes, like my nose. Like I had such a bad, I didn't have any Claritin, nothing. And I was like, and that night was the first night Jocelyn said, I love you. So that kind of reminds me of the same story. So now that's out there on the internet for all to hear. But yeah, anyways, gotta love it. That's real love though, right?
It is. Well, I mean, at least after hearing all that, at least, she wasn't talking.
That's right, exactly. When you're at your worst. So, anyways, well, literally though, I do appreciate. Is there anything story-wise you want to tell before I start wrapping things up?
No, I mean, like I said, everything I've said's been the truth. Come in, give it a chance.
Yeah.
Let you go over the, you go over all the graphs. You show everybody where you're lacking and where you're okay. So, it's not like it's.
Yeah.
But if my big thing too, while I had this, when she was all over my ass before, it was like an embarrassment. Mm-hmm. Well, ain't nothing wrong with me, ain't nothing wrong with my testosterone, ain't nothing wrong with me. And then once I got in here and realized, hell's far.
Yeah.
I'm low on several things.
Yeah.
And then once your body gets your numbers up. It's like, before the pellets, it was, it wasn't that I couldn't get hard, and it wasn't that I couldn't perform. It was just like a slug.
Yeah.
Well, you remember the wrestler Ultimate Warrior? Mm-hmm. Let your numbers get up and then walk into the bedroom, get ready to perform. The veins sticking out, it's sticking straight up. You're already humping before you walk through the door. Hey, it's like that movie, Armageddon or whatever, where they open up for the space shuttles to walk in, and you walking in the room, and
that's how you're ready to.
I don't even walk in the room. Hell, I chase her around the house.
I love it. Keep doing that, though. Seriously, it's awesome. Like I said, I can't tell you the amount of, and I appreciate too, because you guys have both been big supporters. You've sent a lot of people my way, and I really do like appreciate that. You guys have both been awesome, and so.
Well, if people know us, they know we speak truth. I mean, we're not going to sit and bullshit, just the bullshit.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, it's the fact's the fact.
yeah,
Writing's on the wall.
I love it.
I mean, if not, I mean, I don't care to tell them about it. Tell them to call me sometime if they want
Oh,
a direct line.
I would always send them your way, because I know you're not gonna say any crap to
Yeah,
anybody.
I mean, you know, almost 50 years old, the wind blows a certain direction, a certain speed, and it just.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up. Thank you guys for being here today. And as always, I'm going to end with a quote. I feel like I should have done a funnier quote than this for you, but that's okay. Hormones get no respect. We think of them as some elusive chemicals that make us a bit moody, but these magical little molecules do so much more. And that's Susanna Callahan. I feel like that was a good one for you. All right, guys. We'll see you the next time.